area in the same way that we saw it when we first come here. So we ask that whatever you carried in, maybe you could carry out or... With that, I think the supper is just about ready. And once again, I thank everybody here for coming. Thank you.
Know what you're here for. If you didn't know what you were here for, you wouldn't be here. So why should I tell you? I shouldn't tell you. You know what you're here for. To save this wonderful, wonderful land up here. It gives me great feeling and emotion. I could feel it. Thank you. I'll talk again sometime.
I was absolutely overwhelmed to climb this mountain yesterday, and then knowing that there was hundreds of people up here, and then to see you.
I was saying that I wanted to thank all you people and the people from this area, all the many nations that are here, and the people that walked here before us still walk here today. Thank you very much. True.
Great. We got much strength to do what we did over the last while from people like you, from people like Lillooet. And we've come bring some of that strength that gathered.
And some of you people that are non-Indian, that are here, are beginning to understand why we stand up and say, we'd like this land left alone, let it be where it is. In your mind, in your heart, say prayers of goodness to yourself, your family, to this land, to the earth, to the water.
Intermediate run strategy, and that would be to have an ongoing alliance of some kind where the environmental and the conservation groups of the province could join together with the tribal associations. It seems like there should be a unified proposal for all of these areas that are right on the chopping block right now. There's just simply not much time to put it off any longer. And so what I'd really like to see is everybody come out of this very special meeting here united on that stand.
One of the big things that the Socrett government is doing, and I think this is very definitely going to be an election ploy, is they're going to paint native land claims and environmentalists is the big bogeyman. This is the threat. You know, the socialists, well, we've got socialists too, but we've now got Indians and a bunch of environmentalists. And I would hope that the Stein defense is part of a whole forest defense and say, yes, you're right, it is all one issue, but you're painting the issue the wrong way. You're the problem, not us. And take the offensive.
Do you have a feather there, Bob? Or pass that feather? Well, go ahead, Bob. I guess he's first.
Excuse me, Carl? I counted there's 85 or 90 people here. And if everybody does say something in a circle, it's going to take quite a while. I just wonder if this is an appropriate way to do it.
Well,
Not everybody will want to say.
I'm concerned that people aren't going to get to speak, and people have come here a long ways. And even though this meeting may go on some time, at least we can brainstorm some of these ideas. So I don't want to get into debating any specific ideas, pro or con, right now. So if you don't mind, David, we'll do it that way. And if you could, you're going to have to keep it short. So Bob.
And I think it is the one activity which will renew your spirit. This is an area to be enjoyed. Enjoy the mountains. Because if you do that, you will be a different person. And the people that you talk to will respect you because of that. Because you have seen it. Because you have been there. You understand what the mountains mean to your spirit.
Very important now is that we challenge this 6-day archaeological inventory and not accept it.
Right on.
All right? If we accept it, then we're dead. We've done this on Fraser River studies and airport studies where we're involved with the government.
It's already paid for past timber in other areas, which is what they're trying to do. If they get the government to pay for the road, and that's the problem, it's not the logging, it's the road. There's 3 years of road building. Once that valley is roaded, even before they start logging, the valley's gone.
We fought for Mears Island for 5 years, and we got nowhere through the regular channels. And finally, we started calling the shots, and we blocked them physically. And it seems that's the only thing that our government understands.
One of the immediate things that's going to probably happen is the physical confrontation. When you hear the call for this to be there, remember things like this feather, and remember the ceremonies that we have had here down in the circles, the sacred ceremonies. Remember, never forget that we're dealing with very sacred ideas, very sacred issues, and there are very sacred people that some people have been working for 5 years. There are medicine men that are in their 90s, they've been working it for 90 years. And they have very definite ideas about how to do it, and that is to have respect for everybody, even and especially your opposition. Don't go in like a wild person. Conduct yourself respectfully at all times. Carry yourself with dignity.
So with this, I will start the pipe ceremony right now. Maybe we'll sing a song first. Feel good in your mind and your heart. Feel strong.
sun, for the earth, for the flowers, for the animals, for the fishes. We thank you for each other. We thank you for the gifts that we have to give to each other. We call forth for purification to move through us. We accept stewardship of your land, to be good stewards, to use what you have given us for everyone. We ask that the people who wish to misuse and abuse the forests of the Stein Valley come into greater awakening of their gifts and of their love that is offered to them and through them, so that they may be guided in their movements to preserve and cherish the trees and the land and the valley, to be enjoyed for all times by all peoples who wish to share and come together in an action of brotherhood and sisterhood. Anybody who would like to say anything is asked to do so. If they wish to say anything in thanksgiving or as a prayer, an open prayer, is asked to do so at this time.
I'd like to thank the Circle, and I'd like to thank the people of the Stein for this wonderful opportunity.
And I want to thank this man that brought his pipe to start off this ceremony.
I just want to thank everyone responsible for getting us up here.
Blessed Kateri Tekaretha, pray for us. Blessed Kateri Tekaretha, pray for us. Blessed Kateri Tekaretha, pray for us. Blessed Kateri Tekaretha.
I have not yet seen a river, a stream, or a lake that has not been affected by logging, pulp mills, or mining. The Stein River is one of the very few watersheds left in BC that is not suffering from this ailment.
As a watershed, it's probably, I don't know if people have thought about it this way, but a watershed is almost like an animal. It's a complete ecosystem. It's a single organism that is one of the largest endangered species on this planet, next to the planet itself. And the Stein, as the last watershed in the area, is a very significant endangered species.
We're appalled that the Minister of Forests and our MLA would give the go-ahead for 6 kilometers of road into the Stein wilderness when the remainder of the access is sheer speculation. To access Stein timber, 30 kilometers of road building is necessary to reach even the first merchantable stands. BC Forest Products has stated publicly that they cannot afford to build this long access under present Forest Act regulations. So the possibility is very real that the initial 6 kilometers of road, which funding exists for at the present time, is all that would ever be built. The roadless character of the valley and its value as a wilderness will have been lost forever with no gain to anyone. A Stein benefit cost analysis is done by Professor of Resource Management Tom Gunton at Simon Fraser University, done this year, which indicates a net loss to society of approximately $15 million over 30 years if the Stein were developed for logging. This report indicates a net gain to society of $2 million over the same period if the Stein watershed remains an intact wilderness.
The valley is Indian land.
And it's a statement of our people that the Stein
cannot be logged until such time as they receive the consent of the Aboriginal peoples of this land. And we, at this particular time in the history of our people, have not given that consent. There are sites in there, archaeological sites. People are trying to identify them so they can be preserved. However, I say that all these sites link together and they form a kind of map and key that we, the newcomers to this land, have to learn. And if we destroy those through road building, game over.
The Lytton Indian Band Council feels that this valley must be preserved in its entirety to protect those special sites, recorded and otherwise. We seriously doubt the capacity of those other than ourselves to save those treasures that are at the roots of our identity.
We've speculated on this, and we think what's happening here is that there's a big push to get that road in, not really perhaps for mining, perhaps for forestry, but something else, for authority, to establish a presence there so that they can say, we've got 6 kilometers in here, and this, we don't want that taxpayers' money wasted on that, and that gives us the authority to establish any kind of river crossing that we want. To this day, the native peoples are dependent upon their immediate surroundings for sustenance, both physical and spiritual, as is no other cultural group. And an area like the Stein forms both a breadbasket and a cathedral. Each plant and animal has its own specific use, time of harvest, and method of protection. The knowledge of these things has been handed down from the ancestors and cannot be easily forgotten. In the language of the Lillooet people, there's no word for wilderness. No portion of the horizon goes undeveloped. Instead, the entire landscape is utilized in such a fashion that there's no need for wilderness designations. Traditional resource development proceeds in such a manner as to be indistinguishable to all but the most practiced eye.
We claim that we are the rightful owners of our tribal territory and everything pertaining thereto. We have always lived in our country, and at no time have we ever deserted it. We are aware the BC government claims our country, like all other Indian territories in BC. But we deny their right to it. We never gave it, nor sold it to them. And none other than us could have any right to give them title.
A society must become ecologically, aesthetically, and morally mature enough to see beyond the narrowness and economically objectifying of all its experiences. For more than 3 million years, the natural forces of geology and biology have been working to create the BC wilderness that we're considering today. Our industries are defending much more than economic viability. In reality, they are defending an outdated ideology, an ideology based on the astonishing assumption that only utility to industrial society can justify the existence of anything. That anything not a resource is useless. Seeking economic self-interest in every aspect of nature leads only to a concern for controlling nature, not a concern for nature itself. I must point out for the record that there are increasing numbers of us who believe that there's more to life more to nature and more to human societal development than their complete and utter commodification.
We need wilderness for many reasons. First, as a statement in faith to the Aboriginal peoples that we're not going to strip landscapes bare before we finally settle this question of Aboriginal title and return the empty husk. We need wilderness as a refuge for the various life forms. We need wilderness as seed stock, and we need it as the last fortress of genetic diversity. Third, we need wilderness as an example of how nature works unhindered. Entire, intact watersheds such as the Stein can serve as models as we work to heal the remainder of our landscapes. Finally, we need wildernesses because they are sacred. Because one resource has been underutilized in our headlong rush to develop North America, and that is the point of view regarding the natural world as represented by the cultures of the indigenous peoples of the Americas. Wilderness is sacred, and the few cathedrals remaining must be protected. We must realize, however, that in the native view, the notion that we can protect our wildernesses is ludicrous. In truth, it's our wildernesses that will protect us.
Putting a value on looking at a flower or hiking to an alpine meadow or just traveling through the wilderness and seeing no clear-cut logging, no mining slash, no open pit endeavors is, I don't know how you put a value on it. Wilderness is not increasing anywhere, it's decreasing everywhere. We've got to think of generations down the road. We just can't sell it for 10 jobs for a month, which is happening now.
There are 17 jurisdictions within the province of BC, and through research we have found that these jurisdictions do not fall in line with watersheds, and we find this very disturbing. One cannot structure any organization that are dissecting watersheds.
People talk about not being able to see the forest for the trees. These days, we don't see the trees, we see fiber. We talk about getting the fiber out. That's a very common phrase. And I think it's that type of narrowing that has prevented us from seeing the spiritual
One thing I ask as a taxpayer is that my government look good. I don't like it when the Ministry of Environment's doing one thing and the Ministry of Forests is doing another thing. It looks like they don't talk together. It makes them look a little bit ridiculous, and it's not good planning. And to me, I don't like to see my money spent badly. I look foolish allowing that sort of behavior.
It's one thing to talk about a sort of a nice environmental area where people can go hiking. It's not just that. It's much, much deeper. And that's not some cute historical remnant. It's fundamental to us as well, our values. Interesting parallel, and I just throw this out. If you read the Bible, the first thing that Christ did was he went and fasted 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness to get his power. And I think we today are afraid to use the word spiritual, but that's what the wilderness is. It's a source of power. It's a traditional source of power, and it affects us as well. And I think it's no coincidence that we're turning to the Indians in this province, because they are not afraid to say that, because they see that connection.
Perhaps I should have, as my friend Perry suggested, lay aside all the head stuff and spoke from my heart. Spoke of love for the land, the value of wilderness, the serenity of solitude, the songs of nature. Spoke of the strength one gains in experiencing and surviving nature. My opponents would call me naive, a dreamer, an idealist. I would accept, because others would be cynical and feel helpless and hopeless. I believe we can dream. I believe dreams are what make tomorrow. We say stop. Stop development in the Stein. Go back and revitalize what already has been sacrificed for industry. Leave us one untouched watershed. Leave us the Stein.
Circle around the boundaries of the earth, wearing my long wing feathers as I fly, wearing my long wing feathers as I fly. I circle around, I circle around the boundaries